Ross Chastain used the wall all the way around this racetrack. Logano has been the class of the field.
Check out the big brain on Brad.
Yeah, I need to change my underwear.
With practice and qualifying done and Daniel Suarez already sitting in victory lane, Brian and I are in to break down everything you need to know for the Viva Mexico 250. We'll run through the DraftKings player pool, talk about our favorite targets, guys to avoid, and we'll build some lineups. And then we'll look at the updated outright odds that have swung wildly. Clearly, the books have no idea what's going on, but post-practice, and then they took them down and they put them back up, and it's just been a banana sandwich. Brian Twining, how the hell are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic, man. That was a cool ending to what was actually an extremely shitty race. And
are we back to shitty racing again after a fun Michigan race?
Well, I don't know if it was so much the racing was bad. It was just the inconsistent officiating. Again, going back to the beginning of the season where we had no idea what was a caution and what wasn't a caution. Multiple times today on this track, NASCAR made questionable decisions. For instance, Sam Mayer goes off track, slams into the barrier, gets rolling immediately, and we call a yellow in like the first 5 laps. Christopher Bell, coming to the end of the stage, parks his car at the beginning of friggin' pit road, gets out, and we let it stay green because they're going to be closing pit road with 2 to go anyways. Like we're just making up rules as we go now. Like if it's a caution on lap 1, lap 5, lap 10, lap 15, lap 99, it's a caution at every single moment that it occurs. I don't understand what the F we're doing.
Old man yells at clouds.gif.
Yes, look up the GIF. I am the old man yelling at clouds. That is just
yeah, I mean, the FIA running the show would be a good joke to get in there. Something about, in NFL, they don't call the same thing in the fourth quarter as they do in the first quarter. The final 2 minutes in NBA. Like, literally every sport officiating is horrendous. And it's like old people that are confused, and it's I'll never get it. I'm convinced like 80% of it is they do it on purpose to get the more conversations going. But yeah,
hold on. One more bitch tangent. Why are we running 5+ laps of yellow at a road course?
Someone had to take a piss.
End the stage. Okay. End the stage. Everybody gets down to yellow speed. Do your cleanup. Open up pit road and get back going on the 3rd lap. I don't understand how that's so difficult to do. They're not going.
It's not like they're at Bristol and they need to keep going around 6 times.
Exactly.
Like 2.5 miles.
I don't understand what we're doing. Like, especially in a race where, okay, here's another one. Sorry, folks. I'm on it right now. This was a 65 lap race, and they scheduled out the stages of 20, 20, and 25, knowing that at the end of the first stage, after lap 20, we were going to get 5 laps of yellow. So they were only going to run 15 laps of green in the second stage, and then wind up running the same distance in stage 3 that we ran in stage 1 because we were going to do another 5 freaking laps under yellow at the end of stage 2. The whole point of this stage breaks is supposed to make it to where the final stage is like a mini race, not just the race broken up into thirds. Exactly. Like make it, if we're only doing 65 laps, go 15, 15, and then 35, not 20, 20, 25, knowing that we're just going to get the same damn distance in the final stage as stage 1.
Why are we doing this again? Like, why do we bet this stupid sport that we just like can't figure out?
I don't know, man. It's just, the more I watch this, the older I get, the more complainy I get, I guess. I don't know. It's just, it's beyond frustrating because I continue to come back to it on a weekly basis. And it's like me smashing my head up against the wall and convincing myself I enjoy it and then returning the next week.
I don't know why you keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. Like,
yeah,
I can't wait for like 20 years from now. Or it's just going to be like, my God, Brian. Or maybe it'll flip. Maybe you'll just go so far it'll come back around.
I mean, in 20 years, who knows? We're just going to have robots racing anyways. Why are they going to have people?
I mean, they're gonna have robots podcasting for sure, so we don't have to worry
Yeah,
about
that's true. It's just going to be AI.
that. All right, so yeah, so the practice is done. That was on Friday. Then we got odds reposted, and then we qualifying today on Saturday. And then obviously the races, as you guys are watching this, is today on Sunday. So a lot to take away, a lot to get into. But as many of the commenters have asked, and as I ask you every single week, was anyone sporty?
Dude, I quit taking notes during practice, and I basically just said, I have no effing clue. Yeah, you saw guys show up with speed who we didn't expect. You saw guys show up with lack of speed who we expected to show up with speed. And then kind of what I anticipated a little bit of today during qualifying, you were going to see guys a little bit faster than what they were in practice. And then, of course, going back to my complaints about NASCAR officiating, they decided to change the qualifying format like an hour and a half before they go out there, and then they stop it halfway through because we got sprinkles coming on track, although we brought a wet weather package with the rain tires. Oh man. But yes, so let's just say I probably personally will not have any post practice or qualifying bets.
Wow.
The only takeaway I have is SVG is in another world at this track and all road courses, but knowing that rain is probably going to occur tomorrow or today as you're watching this, because it looks like it's pretty prevalent on the forecast. Who knows when that's going to happen, if NASCAR is going to throw a caution to allow everybody to come down and change their tires at the same time equally, or if they're just going to let it go with guys on slicks and people slipping and sliding and hydroplaning everywhere. So yeah, there's so much stuff going on with this race, very similar to what we saw the first Chicago race. I don't know if you want to get too heavily invested in, obviously, more our lane, the sports books, but in particular too, like DFS, you might be able to throw a few in and get crazy with some of your plays. But yeah, I have zero confidence in anything.
Oh, fun. All right. Wound you up and got you going. Let's see if we can talk through the slate and see if we can have some fun. Let me pull up the screen, and we can talk through it. So, as you mentioned, SVG was a rocket. He looked really good. Let me make this a little bit smaller so it fits. As always, check out our friends over at wintherace.com, a proud partner for this NASCAR season. Tons of information and tools and all kinds of stuff. And obviously, the best thing about it is the Discord, where it is popping. People are talking, throwing out bets, throwing out lineups, throwing out all kinds of stuff. If you're new here and you want to enjoy the ride, make sure you click that like button, click subscribe. I mentioned it on Tuesday when we recorded, but we are doing a giveaway at 1,500 subscribers if we get to 1,500 before the NASCAR playoffs. So if you want to get that giveaway going, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies. We did eclipse 1,300 subscribers, Brian, which is very exciting.
Awesome.
It's been a march for us, but we're just piling them up. If you have been around for a while and you haven't clicked the subscribe button, change that. Help us out. Costs you nothing. Doesn't impact you. Helps us out tremendously. Let's ride. So SVG, starting first, 10,500. Obviously, with fewer laps, dominator points aren't as important, but he feels like he's pretty good and in ideal track position and could just mollywop the field. Christopher Bell, 31st. Kyle Larson, 6th. I'll include the 9Ks because there's only 3 10K guys. Byron, Reddick, Chase Elliott, the Dinger, and Ross, the Boss, a Chastain. Lot to unpack here. Front guys, back guys. I guess let's start here. Of the guys, mainly Bell, Byron, and Reddick, do you have strong feelings about one of them or multiple of them being able to move forward, get track position, and finish near the front?
No. I mean, Reddick seems very irritated with the car that they brought this weekend and clearly kind of baffled by the lack of speed that they showed up with.
Is he the most underwhelming, like, of the guys when coming here? We expect to be really good, and then just didn't show it all day Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, I would probably say so. But the one thing I will say is going back to the whole qualifying situation where, some guys waited, some guys went out sooner, and then they actually only had qualifying for 17 minutes when they had said they were going to be doing it for, or no, it was like for 20 something minutes when they said they were going to be doing it for a full 45. And so who knows, maybe guys went out, saw what they had. They were going to go back, make a couple of adjustments, go back out to try to do their hot lap. And a lot of them probably didn't get an opportunity to do that, i.e. Christopher Bell, William Byron, and Tyler Reddick, for instance. I mean, I really don't think there's a world where those guys are beyond 20th at a road course, in terms of speed. So obviously, I think all three of them are definitely in play from a DraftKings perspective. But I think of them, Christopher Bell showed the most pace in practice. Now, as I said earlier too, like, I don't really know what to take away from practice because track conditions are probably going to be completely different. They were completely different for qualifying as they were from practice, and Sundays is going to be even worse. So, there's not much that translates there for me, but of the three, I would prefer Bell.
Yeah. Yeah, I think all three are honestly in play. And I think to your point, like the fact that we're getting so much differentiation from practice to qualifying to race day means you just lean on the guys that you trust at road courses and who can figure it out quickly. And I think all three of those guys are absolutely there. It is frustrating to see the lack of speed from 2311 and Tyler Reddick specifically. Um, like I think they can figure stuff out, but we've also seen where even when he's looked decent or good in practice, where he hasn't been able to like convert that on Sundays. So maybe
Well, and
he's
then also
third
too,
on the list.
it's not like Reddick is fantastic at every road course.
No, it's true.
He's got that one. I believe it's Watkins Glen where it's just his bugaboo. Like,
Yeah.
and
And
he's just not
we've
good.
talked about Byron. Like he's somebody who's smart, obviously has the same time, but when he gets stuck in traffic, sometimes he's just kind of there all day, and maybe it's not an oval, and he can, we've seen him be really good, but I mean, Bell is definitely going to be the one that's I think the most popular of the three, especially
Yeah.
given where he's starting relative and what his upside is. But
Well,
yeah,
especially because he won Coda as well.
yeah, exactly. And I think they all have a lot of appeal, but you're going to have to make some decisions. Like, do you want to try and squeeze in all three of those guys and build lineups from there? Do you want to try and just get two of them? Do you want to, kind of figure it out?
And I
What
stand
about
corrected.
Larson?
It's
Chase it.
Sonoma for Reddick where he sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Coda is Busher, right?
Uh,
Or is Busher? Yeah.
yeah. I think Busher has like a thing with Coda.
Yeah. But of the like Chastain, Dinger, Elliott, Larson group, do you have strong feelings about any of those guys as potentially usable options? Obviously, Larson could dog walk any field, but of the tracks where he's going to be like the most dominant, this is definitely lower on the list. And especially with SVG up there, but he is starting near the front. We'll talk about odds here in a second. He's not priced super aggressively, which is pretty standard. So I don't know. Like, I guess Elliott was somebody that it kind of feels like he's going to be around where he starts. Maybe he
Yeah, I was
gets
just
up
gonna
to
say,
6th or 7th if he does some
yeah.
weird stuff. Dinger is somebody I'm excited about, and maybe from a betting perspective, a little more optimistic. But I
I
don't
will
know.
say of all of those guys, first off, let me just say Shane Van Gisbergen. Obviously, the stage break cautions and maybe somebody moving him. I think that's the only way he doesn't win. Like,
Yeah, but we also, I think Phil brought it up on the draft where he was like, outside of the one race he won in Chicago, he hasn't won at any road course. And I know
Yeah,
this is different. I know this is a lot more akin to Chicago than kind of anything else. And obviously he looked great. So like I'm not gonna be surprised if he wins and he's really, really dominant. But like I think if you want to be like, all right, this week I'm building 3 lineups. I'm not gonna use SVG. I'm gonna go for the moon and I'm gonna see what happens. I think it's realistic. I don't know that I'm going to be doing that, but I think it's a fine move.
Okay. So I'm glad we led into that because you're looking at a person who played under 1.5 wins on the season for Van Gisbergen because of that same mentality of him not getting the wins at the road courses since he's been in the Cup Series. Now, that aside, the fact that this is the first time that we're coming to this track, that is a huge advantage for the most skilled road course racer in the field because nobody else in the Cup Series has ever ran here either. He's going to learn it the quickest. Even if he makes a mistake, he's probably going to recover from that the fastest. He probably came in here just kind of with the most confidence because he's done this his entire career. We got to see it in qualifying where he was like 2/10 better than everybody until a little bit late in the session when Ryan Preece was chasing down Chris Buescher for his lap. And had Shane Van Gisbergen gotten to go back out there, I'm convinced he would have ran in the whatever it was like 93 fives or something or 92 fives. So he would have just bested Preece's number by, a couple of tenths there too. So because this is the first time we're coming here, I think we can take out that narrative of him not performing at the regular road courses and just look at this as a brand new track, very similar to Chicago the first time he was here. Mind you, that was the first time he was in the Cup car and he won that race. And now he has all this experience as well. And he's already the fastest on qualifying, and he's only going to get better. I just don't see a world where he doesn't do that. And then transitioning into the rest of these guys, I would rather play Dinger over everybody in this 9K range when we're talking about Larson, Chastain, and Elliott, because Chastain is not going to beat Van Gisbergen, and Larson is only going to be able to move up a couple of spots. Whereas Dinger, I have confidence as a road course racer, again, first time we're here, that he's also going to be able to make on-track adjustments during the race to get better as the day goes on and just be better than everybody else.
Do you worry though? Because like I think from a DraftKings perspective, like obviously you're gonna feel better with him, knowing that he's not checkers or wreckers, so you're actually gonna be able to maintain spots.
Yep.
But do you worry that maybe he's like, if SVG is just that awesome, then he's really tapped out at like third, and like he's moving up a handful of spots. Obviously, maybe he leads some.
Still.
Yeah, yeah. And then he leads some laps and he has some fast laps. I don't know. The one thing I will say is if you want a little lottery ticket on the Cup Championship driver, this is your last chance to get SVG. He's 350 to 1 to get it on Caesars, which feels really nice. Our friends offshore have him at 66, which is
Oh my god,
blasphemous. So shop around. But if you want to throw like $5 on it or even $1, and see what happens, because we outlined it with Wormy, like it's very slim, but 350 to 1 feels a lot more like you're getting paid on what the true outcome
I also wouldn't mind a short play on the Dinger because he's been pretty good on the ovals.
Yeah.
And in the same exact like narrative as SVG, like if he can get a win in a road course, just lock himself into the playoffs and just continue to accumulate points, he sets himself up pretty good for a playoff.
He's also 350 on Caesar, so
yeah,
$5 on each. Call it a day. 8K, Kyle Busch, Daniel Suarez, Christopher Buescher, Michael McDowell, Austin Cindric. Interesting group. Suarez is probably the most interesting given where he's starting and his upside, but I guess what do you make of Cindric? Because there was like interesting. Obviously, we expected him to be a much better road course racer than we've seen since he's come to the Cup. But it seemed like this might be a good spot for him. His practice was decent. His qualifying was horrible. I don't know. Is he like the most interesting one of the group for you, or is it Buescher or Suarez?
Have we ever seen Austin Cindric drive through the field to win a race?
No.
Or even drive through the field to get a good finish?
No.
Like, it just doesn't happen. I mean, that qualifying, the way that NASCAR did that, that screwed a lot of guys. And especially at a track that looks to be, typical road course where it's going to be difficult to make passes. And a lot of that is just going to occur on restarts going into turn one and avoiding chaos. So do you trust Austin Cindric to make it through the mania? Not me. Like, I'm not touching that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
I don't care how much speed. And again, he looked good in practice, but that same speed didn't show up today. And then again, it's like Sunday is going to be different.
And Buescher is compelling, especially
Yes,
with
I would much rather play Chris
the
Buescher
Sonoma
over
crossover.
Cindric, yeah.
Briscoe, Bowman, Hocevar, Gibbs, Blaney, and Logano. I once again ask you, do you trust what you saw from Tyrone?
Hell no.
Okay.
We're not. I have vowed I'm not going to continue to do that. Now, if you go back and you watch our show earlier in the week, I did mention Gibbs was semi-intriguing at that opening number. I believe it was like 30 in Vegas and kind of hovering around that spot because he's coming into the race with the most momentum he's had all season. But from a DraftKings perspective, I am not playing him when he's starting up front.
No, obviously not. But like, I guess let's just put it this way. Can he be a top 5 car most of the day and finish around there?
Well, sure, he could probably be a top 5 car most of the day and then have something go wrong in the final stage. Like, that's the thing is I just don't trust them to get a good finish. I mean, you saw it happen today in the Xfinity race. You cannot be that aggressive at that early stage and not expect to reap the negative effects of that later in the day. And if he does that here in Cup, like, he can't bully these Cup guys the way he tries to do it in Xfinity.
And maybe that's something he tries in Xfinity and realizes it doesn't work and knows not to try it in Cup Card, but I don't know. I don't trust anything with Ty Gibbs. Blaney, Hocevar, Bowman. Do you like any of these guys as big movers who could get near the front, near a top 10, near a viable like improvement on their starting grid position where you're like, okay, that was worth jumping in there. I think they could be a top 7 to 10 guy and maybe even better.
So Bowman, I'm worried about him completing the entirety of the race.
Given that like the last month he's finished I think a stage and a half on each race.
Not even just because of his car going out. It just maybe him like not being able to finish the race physically and then having to get out and have Alfredo get in the car for him. Now, one of the guys that's pretty intriguing is Ryan Blaney. He only got to run one lap in qualifying. So obviously we didn't get to see probably what the overall potential speed that they had. And with Logano qualifying 9th, I think Blaney probably would have been starting higher up. So I think you can look at that. And then when you look at a guy like the 12, he's got to win. They're not necessarily going to be competing for the win. So I think they're going to be more concerned with stage points, which could wind up working out in their favor late in the race. Because they took stage points in stage 1 and stage 2, and maybe late they're running like 12th and they wind up with a top 10 or something. And so, that type of stuff that goes into the road courses that you don't really see on the ovals is definitely something to consider. And because I think his car has better speed than what we saw today.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we pointed him out as somebody who we were both interested in. We added the top 4. I think I added a top 10. I don't know if you got it there too. But he's always somebody that does better than you expect. I don't think he's going to be a race contender. But if that car's decent and he can control it and he starts 18th, like he could be 8th and have a really nice day. Or
Yeah.
maybe there's a couple laps to go and he stays out and pushes it and gets a 5th or 6th and kind of never really a contender, but ends up with a top 5. I think that's very reasonable. And yeah, I like that shout quite a bit.
And also, too, just looking at Blaney's stats, I was curious about this. Throughout his career, you don't really look at him as a road course racer, but he does have a win. And it's actually tied for his best career average finish at a track type with short tracks at 14.7. So although look at him as a guy who competes for victories, just he traditionally seems to get decent finishes, probably just based on speed.
Yeah. I think the Bowman shout is an interesting one, especially from DraftKings. I wonder how the books are going to do that. I guess if he starts the race and they're going to cash the head-to-heads and matchups and whatever else.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Don't get overexposed on Bowman, I guess, or fade him and hope you either get the pasta man or he just isn't very good. Yeah. Bubba, Gilliland, Keselowski, Priest, Truex, Dillon, Gregson, Justin Haley, Zane Smith. Priest is a cross off. Gilly's a cross off. Brad's a cross off. Truex is a cross off. Do you want to? I guess let me do this. Is there anyone in this 6K range that you don't want to cross off?
For me, it would probably be the guys at the top and the bottom, and Bubba and Zane Smith.
Yeah. Noah?
I don't know, man. Backup car, like
Yeah.
he didn't get very much track time.
And
I think he ran like 2 total laps.
And he's not really like a road course guy anyways.
Yeah, he ran 2 laps in practice, and then however many, I think he got 9 today during qualifying. So he's behind the 8 ball this week.
Yeah. Literally and figure, like he's got a backup car and he doesn't have track time and it's a new course and he's not very good and
yeah, I think that's the most important part right there. He's not very good.
Let's see. I'm gonna pull up his road course. I mean, he was 8th at Coda, but he was 31st at the Roval, 11th at the Glen, 26th at Sonoma, 34th, 20th, and 23rd. So yeah, not probably any, I don't know. It's going to be a weird week to build, but I guess if we're not going to the 6Ks, or if we are, it's like Bubba or Zane.
Yeah.
Josh Berry, Eric Jones, Cole Custer, Ricky Stenhouse, Riley Herbst, John Hunter, Ty Dillon, Cody Ware, Catherine Legg. I mean, if we want to squeeze in the guys at the top, we're going to have to go to somebody down here. So I guess, where are we going?
Well, starting last, but you can cross the leg off because that car has 0 speed in it.
Shocker. The car that runs like 3 seconds slower on ovals and causes
Now,
nothing.
the one thing I will say is that because she'll be so far behind, if she wrecks, it's only going to be a single car spin, so she won't be getting any damage. So if we get a couple of cars that DNF here, she might actually move up some positions.
Just wait until she crashes and Suarez runs into her, ruins his day.
Oh my gosh.
It's going to happen.
No, in all seriousness, this is a really difficult range just because I don't really trust very many of these guys to get it around the track.
Riley was 17th at Coda, but I don't know. I think General Custer might be the answer.
Yeah, but I would rather pay down and get more positions. I don't think Custer's that much better or even an upgrade over either Stenhouse, Herbst, or Nemechek.
Okay. Well, let's build lineups and see how gross we have to get. So I want to do Bell and SVG. Bless me. And then let's pepper I think we liked a lot of the kind of high sixes, low sevens. Like we could do
Yeah.
Bubba, we could do Blaney.
Yeah, I like Blaney.
Um,
This is a difficult week because
yeah, like there's some weeks where it feels good and we're like kind of able to put it together.
now, okay, so I still like Carson Hocevar this week. He said like after a post qualifying interview that he actually got loose, or so he spun the tires coming out of one of the corners during his qual lap, so he should have qualified better. And it did look like that he was tracking much better than what he wound up finishing there. So also something to consider with Hocevar, we did this last year with like Gilliland too, because he has Michael McDowell in his camp. You got to expect some sort of improvement on a road
He's
course.
also somebody who is happy to do the sim time, and maybe they can figure something out where he can run even if he's not running actual laps, he can run some sim laps and figure it out. I guess my question to you is, do we want to like take Bubba or Blaney out, spend up to someone we like a lot better, and then put a scrub in? Or do we want to just like put Bowman in or Gibbs in and hope that works out?
All right. Okay. Yeah. Let's take Blaney and see.
Okay. So let's go down to the bottom and how gross we want to get.
I don't hate either. And that group, that trio right there, Stenhouse, Herbst, Nemechek, just get us like 5 spots.
All right.
That's
I'm
all.
gonna put John Hunter in. I think that's who I like the most. And then we can go up and figure out what we want to do and then come back down. Because like that opens up and lets us get Reddick. And that feels fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely think Reddick is probably, he's going to be a top 10 car. I mean, he does that. He's always a top 10 car at a road course. It's just, is the juice worth the squeeze when you know he's probably not going to be a race winning contender? And so he's probably not going to lead laps. You're going to have to rely on placement differential.
The other thing we can do is go Busher, and that puts us in like Keselowski, Truex, Gregson range.
Man, I think Busher is going to be fantastic. He's really good at road courses, but is the upgrade or the supposed upgrade?
Is it actually an upgrade?
Yeah, to a Brad Keselowski or a Noah worth giving up the 6 extra placement points, or that the 6 more placement point potential with Reddick, I guess.
No, I think this is the move, and then we go John Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, shit, just get us a 30th. That's
right. Well, and then like if you told me the end of the race was SVG after dominating the whole day, Tyler Reddick gets like 4th or 5th, and then like Christopher Bell's either right in front of him or right behind him. That all could make total sense.
Okay, this next lineup,
give it to me.
It's got to be mi amigo
Suarez.
Yeah, got to put him in there.
Okay. Do you want to pair him with SVG? Do you
have
want?
To.
Okay. Do we want to go with a little more balanced build, and we can do like a Busher and?
So I think here maybe we play Blaney.
Okay.
Just because we expect a decent finish out of him, like just get us a top 10.
Byron?
I mean, he's gonna be good.
Let's see where it puts us, and then we can always back him out if we need to spend down a little bit.
I mean, this still can get us to say Bubba.
Okay. Yeah, I guess the question is to Bowman or not to Bowman.
I just worry about him having to get out of the car. Now, okay, so if we remove that, all things being equal, I think Bowman's a fine play because he's really good at road courses.
Let's put Bowman in.
Okay, yeah, we'll take the chance.
Well, yeah, I mean, if the field is moving off of him, and we'll wait. I'm waiting for ownership projections to populate. But if the field is moving off of him, he's a phenomenal play. And if the field is gravitating towards him, then I'm fading him. That's kind of where I'm at. So we'll see kind of where he falls. You want to put the Zane train in?
Nope, we're gonna do it. This is gonna be a win the
Custer?
race special. I got the hat on. Cole
The
Custer.
general?
Cole
Yeah,
Custer.
let's put in the General Custer.
Yeah, he's got some pretty good numbers here according to our friends at WTR.
Well,
So
and it's funny that Custer is the one that basically wrecked Bowman, so they're like grabbing the last two spots in our lineup.
Oh man.
Do we want to? So we could go up to like, I guess that's not really an upgrade. I would say we could look at maybe like Hocevar if you wanted to upgrade Blaney. We could look at because we still have 500 to play with.
I guess the only other one would be like you could get rid of Suarez,
Yeah,
but then
which I
you'd only
kinda
go up
like.
to Chastain, really.
Yeah, because like
I mean,
I think I feel better about Suarez than Kyle Busch, right?
yeah, I
Basically
mean,
the same spot.
I think if you're gonna play one or the other, you got to play Suarez just because you got to play into this being a hometown race.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to, but
I
there's
mean, the other
definitely
thing you could
something.
do is take out SVG and play both of them.
But then where's our dominator? We have like 0 laps led there.
Let's see. Hold on. I mean, Chastain's starting third, so he's gonna be our dominator.
You think Ross Chastain is going to pass Shane Van Gisbergen?
Do I think that? No. But if I'm building a GPP lineup where I want to shoot for the moon,
All right. And then we play Bush or Busher here.
yeah, but like Busher is an upgrade over Blaney, isn't it?
I would think so, just in terms of
Upside,
because Busher knows like he's really good at road courses. This is a race that they know they can probably win. Where Ryan Blaney, I'm pretty confident they're coming into this race trying to maximize points. I was just gonna say that to not play Bowman, you'd have to get a Dominator or.
I'm just checking to see like what makes sense, right? Like if we have an extra 800 and we can upgrade one.
We could get rid of Custard.
Yeah, but like who are we going up to that we actually feel like it's an upgrade?
Oh, definitely not Ryan Truex.
No, it's not Truex, it's not Dylan, it's not Gregson.
Yeah, just play Custard.
I think the general is the move, and maybe that's what gets us a little bit unique. But
I mean, you could take out Suarez, and that gets us. That gets you up to like Dinger.
Kind of like that. I don't know. Do we
just because like obviously Daniel Suarez is the talk of the town. He's been the talk of the town for this race all off season, all season. His ownership is probably going to be bumped up as a result of that, just because you're probably going to see a lot more like novice players, I would think, people that are excited just to play Daniel Suarez. So
yeah, I mean it's an easy click, right? It's like, oh, Suarez versus Dinger, Suarez versus KFB, home race, just won Xfinity, excitement about Trackhouse. Everyone's gonna like if it's coming down to those two guys, they're always gonna go to Suarez.
the one thing though is that like Suarez is going for the win here. He's not messing around with points or any of that crap. So what his ceiling is a win. But you also know what his floor is. All right.
We could
Cook
do
with that.
Reddick again, and that gets us to like Hunter or Dylan
I mean, you could
or
play first right there.
oh, we can't. What?
You could play Riley.
Oh, God, that feels gross. Say we could go up to. We can't get up to Bell. Actually, maybe we can.
And then you got a player.
You want to play the leg?
Let's do it. I don't think anybody is gonna. She's probably gonna be less than 5%.
If she's running in the like just kind of under the radar, no one's really paying attention to her. Few cars crash out, few cars have issues, whatever, and she finishes like 32nd. But Chastain dominates the race. Bell's awesome. Busher moves forward. Byron's all like.
Gross.
I think if we're gonna be, I think the unique pieces, if we're because we're Bowman's, I think will be popular. Byron and Bell will be popular. I think Bush will be relatively popular. But I think if we take out SVG, make that the Chastain dominates the race, and that means we have to play Catherine Legg. I think that gets us our way unique, so we can win tournaments.
Yeah, I like it. Let's do it.
Barf City. All right. Third and final lineup. Larson or no Larson? Or do you want to do two? Should we do two SVGs because that's the prudent move?
Yeah. I think you got to have Shane, and then just for the feels, like I feel like we have to play Dinger at least once.
Okay.
He's gonna be good.
Okay. Then we just load up the back guys and call it a day. We haven't played Hossa. Are you gonna play some of him?
No, that we played Hocevar in the first lineup. No.
Okay.
Did we take Bubba out of a lineup or did we play him? Oh, that's gross. Oh, man, Brad is rough. Oh, okay.
We played Bubba in the first one.
Yeah, with Hocevar, that one's destined to go down in flames quickly.
Just spitballing here to see what feels good. Let me know if there's any pivots you want to make, or if you like anything, or if you want to.
How do you feel about Michael McDowell?
Not good. I feel like he's kind of gonna be what he is, and if anything, he moves backwards, not forwards.
All right.
Especially if we're going if we're putting Dinger in, and
well, no, that's what I was just gonna, it would be like instead of say Allmendinger.
Well, if we do that, that gets us to McDriver. I have a hard time playing guys near the front if I'm also playing SVG.
Yeah.
Like if we're playing SVG to like dominate the race, the odds of him being one of the guys you need, given what his salary is and where he's starting, and someone else from that top 5 range being a real player, it's hard for me to envision. That's why even Dinger is kind of like a little close. Like if you want to take out McDriver and put in Busher and tell me this is Watkins Glen 2.0.
Oh, but yeah, I like that just because I think you got to pick your one guy who we think is just going to dog walk the field, which is SVG.
And I think if you don't think someone's going to dog walk it, or you think it's not going to be SVG, that's where you make your pivot. You get Gibbs, McDowell, Larson, whoever you want, and then kind of load up the rest.
Okay. So what I'm looking at here is there any way we can get to Reddick again?
Oh, for sure. The question is, I think Blaney is the easy name to come out. I think he has the lowest upside. Like, I think he'll be fine, and then we just put a Bubba in.
That's like the same the first lineup, just without Hocevar.
SVG. No, that had Bell and Hocevar and John Hunter.
Oh wow, this one feels much better.
Yeah.
Although I don't really have faith in Keselowski, but
I don't really either, but he's also starting 30th, and maybe he'll just be like 16th, and it'll be fine, and
yeah, I could see that.
and at 6,600, like he's an easy one. Like if you're worried about ownership, you could easily pivot off him if you think people are going to be on him. But I don't know. I think it's fine, and I think especially since we have Busher. But yeah, I think this is a fun lineup. We did probably a little too much Bowman, but we can kind of give it vibes and see how we feel. He just feels like a really good play, and I know it's not fun, especially though he's wrecked. But if there is concern about that, and given his history recently, and that gets us some more leverage, I don't know. I could be into it. All right. So betting card as it sits right now. I'll pull up Caesars on my other screen here. Actually, I think I already have it up. Let me pull it up. I have Kyle Busch for a top 5. I have Ryan Blaney for a top 10. I have Blaney top Ford, and I have Bowman over Hocevar. They're basically starting next to each other. It'll probably be battle for like 23rd, and whoever wins that wins it. Brian has Blaney top Ford, Wallace top Toyota, Bowman over Hocevar, and Hocevar over Bowman to get that sweet, sweet middle, baby.
It's gonna be like a 20-cent profit, but
Oh yeah, hey, lock in that profit before the race starts. Let's go.
still a dub.
SVG 230, Chastain 6, Gibbs 8, Larson 8, Priest 10, Elliott 12, Bell 12, McDowell 15, Suarez 16, and then everything else starts with a 2. I guess where we sit right now, are you interested in any outrights or potentially interested in any outrights? And obviously, everybody's card is going to be different. If you've gotten in on some action before, it's going to may have some decisions to make. But if you're coming to the board clean and you have nothing on your card, or maybe a couple matchups randomly or whatever, is there anyone 16-1 or lower that you're like, I can make a case. I think it makes sense. I think the number's fine. Anything.
Shane Van Gisbergen. This is like honestly, I feel like this is the first time that I've actually been on SVG, just because I've always kind of been I've been the contrarian when it came to him coming in the Cup. I didn't play him in Chicago. I kind of faded him a lot last year in head-to-heads at RCs.
I bet him at the Glen, and of course Busher came around and
Yeah. And
got him.
so going back to what I was saying earlier, I just think he has such a huge advantage on the field because we're at another track that it's the first time that we're here again. And he's so much better than everybody else in the technical parts of the track, which is where the time is made up. And you saw that on the lap times during qualifying, that guys may be faster on the straight line speed and all that stuff, which really only matters once we're like under green for quite a while. Because I don't think restarts, that's going to be that big of an issue. But then once you get into the S's and you're getting into the tight corners, that's where he separates himself from the rest of the field and is on another planet. And if we get 10 to 15 lap green runs here, like plus, he's going to destroy everybody, I think. You saw it in Xfinity today when Gibbs and it was Gibbs and Zilich were up front. They had a 10-second lead on third place car. You could see SVG Max Verstappening from 2024, the field here. That's definitely the realm of possibilities.
So we're approaching race to turn 1 technically.
Correct.
All right, so there's 2 names in the 20s that I want to see if are viable. Maybe 3, honestly. But Tyler Reddick is 20. He was 8 to 12. I know we have concerns about what may or may not show up on Sunday, how much track time he had, all that good stuff. But 20 feels viable. There's a 22 on AJ Allmendinger that I'm going to add. I was considering 12 and 14. I know there was some 16 on Colleague. I never added any of it. I'm going to add Dinger at 22, especially starting inside the top 10. And then William Byron, 22. I guess, do you have any interest in any of those 3? And then my other question is there any reasons why I should be considering not adding those at their current numbers.
So just kind of going off what I said about SVG, I think with him taking on the amount of hold that he is, it's going to extend everybody else's numbers, not only in the outright market, but also in their placement markets. And so obviously this is predicated on you having the ability to bet live, but for me, I probably won't play or wouldn't play any of these guys now on an outright, but I would definitely be looking to play them top 5, top 10, because you're probably getting slightly longer numbers than what you traditionally do when you don't have a guy that's 2-1 to win a race. And so I'd much rather play it safer. Also, too, factoring in what I was saying earlier about the rain that we might get, and then we get on rain tires, and who the hell knows what's going to happen there. We saw what happened in Chicago multiple times. It just turns into a clown show. And so it's hard to get invested on these guys and their outright markets when we don't know where they're going to be running. And if SVG is as good as he is, this should just be a cakewalk for him.
Yep. I added Dinger. I think I'm going to add Reddick and Byron, but more like you said, top 5, top 10, maybe head-to-heads, maybe some other markets. I'll find
Okay.
value.
So Caesars, we haven't done this in quite a while, but head over to the finish tab on the top. They actually have their top 10s up and top 5s. You're going to offer me minus 135 on a top 10 on AJ Allmendinger, minus 125 on Chris Buescher for a guy who top 10s at every freaking road course that we go to. I know I don't normally play minus money. Like I don't like paying the juice on these placements, but I would much rather play that for, just to win a unit and stay lighter this week than get crazy with trying to hope that they get to the front and win.
Yeah. I am going to pull up FanDuel and make sure the numbers are live, because I think we can get better numbers on some of the guys we want.
Oh, yeah. FanDuel has live numbers too.
Yeah. So, Dinger is minus 120 there. I'm going to smash that.
Nope. Bet 365, AJ Allmendinger, plus 120.
Right.
That is getting added to the card.
That's 365, you said?
Correctamundo.
What's their Buescher price?
Buescher is also plus 120.
Yeah, my guess is when you guys are watching this, it's not going to be. It's not going to be. They. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm max betting both of those. We'll see. Kyle Busch is plus money to top 10. Yeah. What do we get it at? Wow, we're getting value. Well, I'm getting value on the Blaney top 10. He's like half of, although it depends on where you shop, I guess.
I think it's just because of he did look decent in Penske cars looked decent in practice.
Yeah. All right, so Dinger we like, Buescher we like, Suarez. Do you want like a top 5er on him, or are you gonna kind of?
Man, he's going to.
He's gonna send it, right?
Yeah, that's my worry with him. Is obviously we know his ceiling is a victory, but I'm worried that he's also going to biff it because he's going to be going so hard for a win.
Yeah. For sure. Any other outrights or anything else overall nugget wise you want to mention before we recap the card and call it a show?
Well, I'm going to mention I'm going to play Allmendinger top 5 too. So
Our full betting card, our favorite bets and DraftKings thoughts and other information, links to the episodes, grid rival targets, all that will be listed in our free newsletter, aoppodcast.substack.com. Once again, aoppodcast.substack.com. Link is in the description. If you haven't subscribed yet, that's okay. You can go check it out for today's race and then hit subscribe so it's in your race in your email inbox every race day. As Brian mentioned, we're loading up the cart. As he mentioned, being patient and not getting overextended. He is betting Allmendinger to top 10, Allmendinger top 5, to his host of our over Bowman over host of our Wallace top Toyota, and Blaney top Ford. I added Buescher top 10 and Dinger top 10 and Dinger outright. I'm going to add Reddick. I'm going to add Byron. I might add some other stuff to my Bowman over Hocevar, Blaney top Ford, Blaney top 10, and KFB top 5. Brian Twining, anything else for the fine people out there who have made it this far before we peace out, go watch some hockey, and get the newsletter done?
go me amigo.
Okay. I am on Team Trackhouse. I don't care which one it is. I'm happy as long as it's one of those. Grabbed a nice number in between practice and qualifying. That's Brian Twining. I'm Kyle Robert. Smash the like on the way out. Smash the subscribe on the way out. Drop comments. We will be trying to rotate back before the race starts. Earlier start tomorrow. It's Father's Day. There's a lot going on. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the race. Let's cash some tickets. And come back and join us next week as we break down the week that was, as well as turn the page and get into the week that is. Sick.